Jason, let's get to it, man. So before we get nitty-gritty offense and all that, you have been there many times. I don't know if it's 5 or 8 or 10, but when all hell seems like it's breaking loose. And by the way, at 8-4, it's not really all hell breaking loose, but it kind of has that feel. Like, what's it like in the NovaCare? Like, I remember back in the day, the guys were outside run the ball with the signs. There were the Fire Andy chants, the chip thing. Yep. Like, when the city's crashing down on the guys, what's that like?
Listen, it's one of the great dichotomies of Philly sports. When you're winning and everything's going well, it's going to be the best place on planet Earth to be in. And then when things aren't going well, it's going to be like the whole world is caving down. And that's the importance this organization and team has in this city, and they make you feel it for sure. I mean, listen, most of those times when the world was caving down, I would have loved to have been 8-4. Most of the times we were not. The one time that we were was 2023, which I know a lot of people could continually compare. I think the biggest thing is that, like, this is the mark of, like, what a head coach has to do. A head coach has to maintain belief within the players and maintaining a voice and a message that is getting these guys revved up and believing that they are still the bad, the real deal. And I mean, right. That's what great coaches do, and that messaging with Nick Sirianni has continued to push forward even through 2023. And I think that that's one thing that he's very good at. I think you've heard it most of the time in the players and the way they release things through the media, and Jordan Mailata earlier this week. Yeah. These guys still have utmost faith and confidence in themselves, and that's what you have to do. And you have to just continue to work. You have to continue to try and, what are we doing wrong? How can we fix it? That's the only way to do it. And so it's frustrating seeing it not happen.
Right.
And as players, the more times it doesn't change, the less and less faith and the less that messaging really gets across. So this is where you have to, it's a tough situation because they got to get it fixed. Otherwise, it's eventually just going to eat them apart.
Yeah, well, and the season runs out and you lose. So, and again, Jason with us, and he'll be fielding phone calls, 215-592-9494. We're doing a deep dive today on Nick Sirianni, what level coach he really is, your evaluation of his season so far. I still got him as a great coach. Obviously, I feel a little bit more wobbly on that than, for instance, earlier this year, last year, et cetera, et cetera. But I think he's a great coach. But, Jason, you just referenced 23, so let's go there.
Sure. So
it's scaring people that this could be 23 again. And by the way, if they lose to the Chargers, then, oh, boy. What gives you confidence it's not, or what makes you think it could be? How do you stack up? And not so much how 23 ended, but how it slid. There was a loss in Seattle. This game, someone said earlier this week, this game's a little scary. I remember when the Eagles went out to Seattle, out west. This is going out west of the Chargers. Yeah. So walk us through the 23-25 thing.
Well, and I get the comparison to 20. I mean, those scars are still pretty fresh, even within myself.
Your last game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very rough end of the year. It's comparable in a sense that I think that this team is more talented and should be better than what they're putting forth on the field. And I think that is similar. They obviously, the record, the way they started, 8-2, they should have been, and now they've lost the last two. Those are kind of the similarities. But to me, that's kind of where it ends. Like, defensively, we are in, so much of a better spot than we were in 23. It's not even comparable.
Yeah. Are you sure, though?
Yeah.
Not even a question.
John, 23, they stunk.
We were the 32nd ranked defense in 2023.
Okay, how worried are you, though,
that this is the 32nd ranked defense?
That the run defense is crumbling.
I'm not as concerned.
Least need it to be crumbling.
I'm not very concerned, and the reason I think I'm not concerned is I think this last week, if you go back and watch that tape, and listen, the Chicago Bears played really well up front. I think that they have a good offensive line. I think they have good running backs. I think
Which was better, the scheme?
It was both. It was both. I don't want to take away from their players, and we could have played better up front in certain areas, but man, there were the indecisiveness that scheme created on the boots and the action, the way the safeties and people were manipulated with the motions and guys getting out of gaps. It was something I think that the defense is going to learn from moving forward. And quite frankly, I don't think they're going to face Ben Johnson again until we see him in the playoffs, who is a very good coordinator and play caller. So I feel optimistic that they'll play much better this week and will play, for the most part, be one of the better defenses in the NFL.
This is a big stakes game coming up.
It is. I mean,
it really is.
And we traditionally play very well in LA because we have a pretty much another home game out there every time.
That's right.
I think that they will play really well this week. I think the Chargers have been hampered by a lot of injuries, and up front they aren't the same team as they were earlier in the year. The quarterback is obviously banged up, so I think they're in a good position to go out there and play well. And if they don't, this is a time where the concerns, even for myself, will probably start to creep in more. And then back to 2023 offensively, I think the big thing offensively in 23 was the inability to pick up the blitz. Like, really offensively, if you go back to the numbers, we were putting up points pretty well. Inability to pick up the blitz and injuries to A.J. Brown derailed us at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. This year, the big thing is just the ongoing thing that I'm going to keep harping on. They need to get this run game figured out. And I think that has been the biggest thing that has been the difference between the last 5 years of Jalen Hurts and this year. And you saw it with Caleb Williams this last week. When you have a functioning offensive line and run game, it makes things so much easier for everybody else. And it's hard to do that when you've had guys in and out of the lineup. It doesn't feel like everybody's on the same page at all times. And that's kind of what happens when you have guys in. Communication isn't quite as good. False starts. I used to say this, but if the guy next to you false starts, I think when you're a good team and unit, you kind of feel sometimes an accountability to remind that guy of the snap count. I'm sure you felt this when you've been out there, Richie.
Sure.
There's like an aura sometimes when like the play kind of gets held up a little bit that you just feel like, man, I'm almost forgetting the snap count. So I'm just going to say a little reminder at the line.
I'll talk about it every single play if I have to.
And when these situations happen.
Monday. As you're getting up there, I mean, just talk. Make sure that you communicate it. Monday, everyone knows Monday means it's on one.
Tuesday,
By the way, I did figure that out.
Yeah, right. Well, and the problem is most of the time the D line figures out, so you don't want to do it overly too much. But you guys knowing the snap count is more important than if the defense knows or not. And I think that when you play as a unit, you get attuned to what guys need reminders, what guys got to get confused on certain plays, what guys need a reminder that the O block is going to this guy, not to this guy. And that's where this run game, I feel like, is really kind of missing it a little bit. There's like two guys going to a safety when they don't need to both go to a safety. There's a guy on the backside doing a great job on the first level and not coming off to the second level. And if you want to have a great running game, you need to be blocking the first level and the second level.
Does it need to be retaught, Jason? Why is it that not everyone is on the same page? It is hard sometimes, and defenses are given all sorts of different looks now. So everyone's got new assignments that vary from week to week. But why is it that it's in disarray to some degree more than it was in the past?
Well, I think part of it is just that there's been guys in and out of the lineup, right? They've had a lot of players hurt and banged up, and the center's been in and out, and that's a huge piece to try and coordinate all this. Lane Johnson's been in and out. Fred Johnson's been in recently. I think the more these guys have been playing together and the healthier Landon's getting, I do think it's getting better, and I think it will get better moving forward. But, I think that a lot of it is just continuity and understanding how to communicate with each other and with the tight ends, because they're equally as big of a part of this.